Hey, welcome back to another East Coast Camp Chasers video. Today I'm going to talk about etiquette, campsite etiquette. Probably a few of the top etiquette or polite things to be doing at a campsite. I'll probably start off with the main one that a lot of people talk about in discussions on forums and camping pages is moving in and through camp and walking through other people's campsites. If you need to do is probably just politely ask if it's okay if you travel through the campsite. Sometimes to avoid walking through someone's campsite is a pretty long way around. The etiquette would be to steer clear and walk around if possible. And if someone's around and just is it okay if I just shoot through here? Most of the time people will be fine to say yes. Doing it without asking is what normally flares people up. It can be unavoidable. I mean, kids are going to be kids. They're going to run and walk through other people's campsites because they just don't have that mentality about them to think about other people. So it's probably a good idea to maybe instruct your kids on how to move around the camp. Avoid walking through someone else's camp. Yeah, definitely same with pets as well. Now, pets should be contained and on leashes at all times, particularly if it's pet friendly. They're still required to be on the leash for safety of other campers, patrons within caravan parks and camping areas. Definitely try and definitely stick to the rules if you can, where possible, when you've got your kids and your animals in tow. I think that covers most of that topic. It's a pretty easy one to navigate. It's not hard to avoid going through someone else's camp. And like I said, if you need to, you don't really have a choice, then definitely ask if that's okay for you to do. So the other thing I think that's probably in tow with that is, particularly in close proximity of other campers and campsites, is the noise. So if possible, if a lot of these people are out there trying to relax and they want to be sort of at peace in nature and not have too much noise going on around them. So if possible, music. A lot of people travel with TV and devices now. One of the things I've noticed at a couple of campsites in particular is like people playing music, probably past curfew, playing it in excessively loud volumes. Look, we play music when we go. It is sort of up at a certain volume that we can hear it around where we're camping. It probably can be heard by other campers, but when it comes to a certain time, the volume starts to go down on that, and then by the time it's reaching that time of curfew, then it's time to turn that music off. Also the same when you're communicating with people within the camp. Now, with certain situations there we've come across where people, I mean, they're not sitting that far away from each other, but they still feel the need to be shouting when they're communicating. And one of the reasons for that is that we find they've got the TV going, they've got a radio going, music playing, and they're actually trying to communicate over the top of existing noise. I mean, that sort of thing doesn't annoy everyone, but it can be annoying for some people who are there, sort of, particularly if they're trying to relax and they just want the peace and quiet of the camping. I think that sort of tops that off. Like the noise pollution that a campsite can throw, particularly in certain areas, can travel quite far, and so keeping that to a limit is really good etiquette as well. Sticking with being in and around and in the vicinity of other campsites is the use of generators. We're not seeing the use of generators too much these days because of the introduction of lithium batteries and solar power. A lot of new motorhomes, caravans, and your little teardrop campers and camper trailers, rooftop tents, all that sort of stuff. A lot of them are now being released with existing solar panels, existing power setups with lithium, battery banks and all that sort of stuff. And that market's changing in itself as well, with the introduction of larger power packs that certainly do exceed and outdo some of the solar setups that are coming out on the caravans these days. So the use of generators, I mean, if you've got to use one, definitely stick to curfew. Don't start it too early in the morning, and certainly don't start it or leave it running too late of a night time. That sort of noise does seem to affect people a lot. It's one of the things that gets whinged about a fair bit on forums and Facebook camping sites and stuff like that. The next one, I think sometimes is a little bit hard to avoid, but I feel that when pulling into your designated camping area, and there is limited space, sometimes there's plenty of space to set up and obviously move around and get your campsite set up and productive for your stay. But if you find that it's avoidable, definitely try to avoid camping in and setting up on top of someone else. That did happen to me quite recently. Very annoying, particularly on my sober journey. I was just wanting to I was solo camping at the time. I wanted to be away from other people, doing my own thing. I wasn't really able to do what I wanted to do after I'd already set up and had someone basically with a large motorhome come and set up on top of me, wedge themselves with their motorhome between a fellow camper and myself. It sort of only left us a maximum of a metre between us, and it was, like I said, it's quite a large motorhome. It took them a fair bit of time to nestle themselves into where they wanted to be. That then sort of inconvenienced myself and other campers. There was plenty of other room in the free camping site or donation camp there that they could have set up somewhere else, but they obviously wanted that spot and inconvenienced a few other campers in the process. Busier times, yeah, I know that's going to be a little bit harder, but if you can avoid it, definitely avoid it. Try and leave a bit of space between people. There's people who like to live a little bit more solitary than others, and like myself, going through the sobriety journey, mental health, trying to get myself right. The thing I need the most was to be sort of left alone, and in a situation like that, sort of brung me down a little bit, and it's not where I sort of wanted to be on my third day of my camping loop. So I just sort of bit my tongue, but it changed the way I was going to camp for that day or that night. I couldn't have my campfire, which I planned to cook my camp meal on that night, because I had the respect not to be blowing smoke towards their $200,000 motorhome. They didn't set up a fire pit that night. They didn't have a fire, and so I chose to have a little bit more respect for them, more than what they had for myself and fellow campers, and yeah, decided not to have the fire that night. I kept my noise to a minimum as much as I felt like I shouldn't have. I didn't have to, because of the way they'd sort of just come in and jumped on top of us. But at the end of the day, I showed restraint and I showed respect not to have to continue on and camp the way that I felt I needed to. So that's definitely one of those things. If you can avoid sort of camping on top of someone else, then yeah, definitely try to avoid it. Alright, so I want to talk about shared barbecue facilities, gas barbecues, electric barbecues, and your fire pits. If there's existing fire pits there, much the same rule. Leave them as clean as possible. Don't throw stuff into the fire pits that doesn't burn. It's left behind. That sort of stuff is bottles and cans. Come across so many things like that, and obviously the nails and screws that are in some timber that people burn is left behind as well. In a few campsites I've been to, that's going to be an issue for your car tyres. It's going to be an issue for someone standing on it, a pet, a person, a child. Injuries that come from that sort of thing, glass, cans, and nails and screws left behind. Getting people throwing all sorts of them. I've come across razor blades in in burnt coals as well, and certain things like that. Yeah, it doesn't go down really well with myself. Um, and like the barbecues, you've got to leave them as clean as possible. I've seen people burn plastics. I've seen people, not seen it, but know of. People always talk about gas and electric barbecues, public barbecues being um, basically people are dropping feces and urine onto these barbecues. They think it's funny, they think it's entertaining for them and their mates. It's certainly not, it's disgusting. Definitely, if you can, barbecue mats. Get yourself a decent barbecue mat, an easy clean barbecue mat. It creates a barrier between the cooking surface and your food. That's going to be the best thing you can do. Most of these barbecues, I can guarantee you, out in areas like that, aren't being treated like the ones in and around your sort of your residential areas, in your public parks and stuff in around your residential. You get the teenage kids and the silly drunk people just doing stupid things like that. Yeah, the best thing you can have is one of those barbecue mats, easy clean barbecue mat. Put that barrier in there, and it's probably going to work in a benefit for the person after as well. The thing you've got to keep in mind too is you've got to make it as clean as possible. The next person comes along, you don't know if that person or someone within that group of people has a food allergy, um, and you're wanting to leave that barbecue as clean as possible. It might be a nut allergy, or it could be any sort of allergy, and if there's remnants left behind, that could create a bit of an issue for them, something you want to try and avoid. So that's, then again, it's at the forefront of your mind, making sure that you're thinking about the next person's got to use it. Right, let's talk about shared toilet and shower facilities. Um, I, did, I did actually have an experience with this as well, where someone had left behind soiled underwear. Obviously either had a big night or a bad curry, and left that sort of stuff behind in the toilets for everyone else to experience. That's not good at all. Take it with you. You know, like it doesn't take much to throw a small garbage bag or a shopping bag into your toiletry kit. You can throw your dirty clothes in there, whatever you've taken with you to the shower. Also take it with you when you leave. Don't leave behind cakes of soap and empty shampoo bottles and dirty underwear. Um, it's just it's just not on. A lot of these places I go to, donation camps, freedom camps, all that sort of stuff, that the areas I like to enjoy, um, they're also rest stops. So truck drivers and grey nomads, families, small families, young families on the move, wanting just to stop in there. Kid might need to go to the toilet. Kids don't need to come across that. That's teaching them, well, actually probably a good thing to actually show them how some people live, how some people treat public areas, um, and a good example to show them what shouldn't be done. But yeah, definitely take it all with you. Whatever you take into there with you, you take away with you, and try and leave it cleaner than what you found it. That's the general etiquette and general rule of those areas. Um, on that topic, limit your amount of time that you spend in the shower. Generally, they do have like a 5 to 8 minute. It's generally the one, you know, the sort of the figure that you see, 5 to 8 minutes is generally what you'll see signposted in the shower areas. Limit the amount of time you spend burning up, obviously, critical water and energy that's used to heat that water. If 100 people are camping there and 50 people need to shower for the day, it might be alternatively one showers one day, another showers the next day, and they're on a day by day sort of thing there. And definitely keep in mind that other people need to use it. Now, it's limited. There's not an endless supply of hot water in a lot of these places, and even if you can, if it's signposted at 5 to 8 minutes and you can shower and clean yourself while you're camping in 3 minutes, most people just want to wash a bit of dirt off or refresh themselves. So even a 3 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute shower is sufficient anyway. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. Other people need to access those areas as well. The quicker you're in and out, the more people can filter through there. More people are going to be happy for the day. Yeah, so basically, maybe, you know, as you're setting up, you might notice some stuff that's been left behind by someone else, with rubbish or broken camping equipment, all that sort of stuff. And even when you're leaving too, take something extra with you. The thing I'm finding is that if bins are overflowing, people are continuing to throw rubbish into that bin or on top of the bin. It doesn't work like that at all. You've got native wildlife that will come down, will try to get some sort of food from what's ever been left behind. They'll start plucking, crows are bad for it, they'll start plucking rubbish out of bins, trying to get to things. Possums are much the same, trying to make sure that there's nothing left behind. So do a bit of a scout before you set up, just to make sure that there's nothing sort of, particularly I talk about screws and nails and stuff, you're not setting up on top of them, and then you're covering up a hidden sort of hazard. Have a bit of a look around before you set up. If you can, take whatever you bring in, take out your rubbish, take it all with you. I always keep garbage bags in the canopy of my four-wheel drive. I use them for work and I use them when I go camping. Always got to have that there. Same thing with if you're going to use bins or garbage bags, or even like your dirty bags on the back of your four-wheel drive, they're not impenetrable. Animals can get into those sorts of things. You know, dingoes are bad for it as well. They will come in and strangely, I've seen it actually happen. Dingoes can open eskies and access stuff inside of eskies, because if they're not lockable in a certain way, those animals, they do learn even from us how to go about opening stuff up and accessing stuff if they want to get to it. So definitely overnight, maybe try and lock that sort of stuff away, so that any sort of animals that are moving around who are either nocturnal or choose to filter through campsites because they know you're around, make sure it's not accessible till of a night time when you're long gone to bed. You know, if you need to, yeah, take a little bit extra rubbish with you. Like I said, if you find someone else's rubbish and you're leaving with your own rubbish and you've got room in a garbage bag, throw it in and take it. You're doing everyone a favour, you're doing yourself a favour as well. It allows for those campsites and those areas, even the more isolated camping areas in national parks and stuff, the cleaner we keep those, the less the government's going to ride our back and try and shut us out of those areas, and mostly charge us more, because apparently it costs a lot more to have someone come in and clean up a bit of extra rubbish. So if we eliminate that, then we eliminate the reasons for them to want to charge us extra or try and lock us out of those areas.